Get away from my boat. I don't want you. That is so cool. Look at the size of that snapping turtle. That is crazy. The thing was trying to get on my boat with me. Got too close to it, apparently. That is so freaking cool. They're like chasing each other. There's one underwater, too. I don't know if you can see the other one. I need to get the hell out of here. I think they're trying to get on my boat. That is so freaking cool, though. Look at that, guys. There's a huge snapping turtle right next to my boat. I'm getting out of here, though. I don't want to disturb them anymore, and I already have. Hey, guys. While we're here, there's not as much vegetation in this area as I actually had thought there would be. There was a lot of die-off this winter. But this is grass fishing. This is vegetation fishing. This is something that I think is obvious to a lot of bass fishermen, but also is very intimidating. If you get onto a big area that has a huge grass mat, and what I'm trying to talk about is, you see this area right here, that's all grass mat. This whole area that I kind of just panned around is normally all vegetation. It's usually wall-to-wall lily pads, end to end. This place is loaded with milfoil. It is so heavily loaded that they tried spraying it and it just came right back. So that just gives you an idea of the kind of conditions we're in. This is not the kind of area that you can just easily roll a crankbait through. It's going to get hung up every 5 feet and you're going to end up fighting it all day. This is not an area that you're going to be able to do a lot of different types of techniques simply because there's so much vegetation. This is also an area where I have caught 5 and 6 pounders on a consistent basis because they hang out in these kind of conditions. So what do I do to fish this kind of area? The first thing, trusty dusty jig. That is always tried true. Always have one of those tied on. Now the next thing that we actually are going to fish today is a chatterbait. This is actually a custom one that I made. I'm going to get that tied onto my chatterbait rod. Because of where I'm fishing today, and because of what I want to do and what kind of videos I want to make, I'm actually fishing a chatterbait on a snap today. This is actually a jerkbait that I'm going to use later, but the reason I'm fishing a chatterbait on a snap is because I want to try to find colors that work out here. I know green pumpkin is typically a safe color to use, but sometimes there's other colors, and actually I find that hooking a chatterbait with a snap just like that actually creates a little bit more action sometimes because the bait can wiggle just a tiny bit more with that snap on there. It gives it a little bit more kick and range of motion. Yeah. So that's kind of the next bait that we're going to use. When we get out deeper, we're going to bust out a lipless. Now this lipless right here is actually already caught me a pike this year. This is I think it's a 1/2 ounce lipless, and this one goes fairly deep. What we're going to do with this later, right out there, it gets a little deeper. We're going to try yo-yoing a lipless crankbait. Now, that being said, it may not be always just that bait. I have a couple others that I really want to try to use. The next bait that we're going to do is actually going on a spinning rod. So the water temp has come up to about 60. I really truly think that we might be able to start getting some fish to eat on a worm. So I'm going to rig up a wacky worm on a spinning rod, which is what I'm literally doing while we're talking. Trying to be as efficient as I can, kind of the theme of this whole video anyways. But what we're going to do is we're going to tie on a wacky rig to my spinning rod. Now I'm trying a different kind of line that I've never tried before. Kind of hoping that this line holds up to expectation. This line is actually called Tracer. So what's cool about this line is, as you can see, it's got dark. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that in the camera, but it's got dark. It actually goes right into a high vis green. So what that does is it allows me to hide my line a little bit from the bass but also I can see those strikes. And that's very important when finesse fishing. It is very important to be able to see those line ticks, that line start to swim. I fish on extremely slack line. I'm a line watcher. I really truly stand by and believe in using that technique of just cast it out, do nothing, dead stick it, let it sink to the bottom, and then wait to see if that bass picks it up. I can tell you from experience, it works. It is really effective, and honestly, it's a lot of fun because you cast it out, you itch your nose, you take a drink of your soda, beer, whatever you got in your hand, and then you watch that line, and that line starts to swim sideways, it pulls tight. You lay into them, and you bring that fish home. And that is really my favorite way to fish other than topwater. More of a finesse fisherman, with the exception of everybody loves to see a fish blow up on topwater. So that's what we're going to start with today for baits. Now, as far as what I'm going to do, as far as strategy, how am I going to break all this down? How do I not get overwhelmed and miss stuff and not fish everything properly is take your time. If you have 2 hours to fish, or an entire day like I do, you still need to slow down, take your time, and break down the water, because I can tell you, I've fished a lot of hours. I've got more hours than most guys I know on the water. And the one common theme that I always seem to find is that I can't ever find my pliers. No, just kidding. The one common theme I always find is that when I get stressed out and I think that I have to do everything in a hurried fashion, I catch way less fish than if I take my time, I break down a body of water, I really think about every cast and what I want to do with that cast. If you don't do it that way, you will learn to regret it. I promise you, it will not work out the way you want. It will not be the fun, braggable day that you're going to call your buddies and tell them about. Because, one, this is supposed to be a relaxing hobby. I don't know about you, but I'm not a professional. I don't have money on the line. I'm just a guy that comes out on his days off and does his best to locate bass and enjoys catching them. So, enjoy your time on the water. Don't stress yourself out. Don't take all the pressure of not catching fish and let that build up and force you to make bad decisions that'll ultimately result in you catching even less fish. So now that I've done my little opening spiel, we're going to get everything set up here. I'm going to start driving around, see if I can locate some bass, and I will be right back.
This guy's just chasing geese all day. Poor guy. This guy over here, I'm not sure if you guys can see him, but he's over here chasing geese off his property constantly. He's been doing it for about an hour now. I'm pretty impressed at his dedication.
Got one. Hell yeah. Finally got one. Come here, buddy. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh. Finally got myself a bass. I don't know how well I got him hooked. I'm going to net him. Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. Hell yeah. Took all day. But I finally got myself a bass, guys. check that boy out. That's a big old fatty. 3, almost 4 pounder. Here you go, buddy. Play. Yeah. Yes. Definitely guarding that bed. Well, it's not a bass, but it's fish. Kind of crappy. Alright, time to pick up. One more spot and then we're done.